What's cracking, YouTube? It's Matty B. Welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We are almost to the halfway point of the Pro Motocross season, and we are over halfway to the Super Motocross Playoff World Championship Nationals. So I'll still do my midweek Pro Motocross preview for Redbud coming up in the next day or two, but just for today, I wanted to go over the current projected national numbers for 2026, and then also the Super Motocross World Championship Playoff point standings. And for the national numbers, I did it old school, pen and paper with a notebook. I'm in the Stone Ages. I don't really use a computer for anything. I even edit all these videos with my phone. You guys know we don't have a choice around here, but all the SMX point standings are online, and we'll go over who might be looking like they're headed towards the top seeds, and then we'll also discuss the financial gains and the benefits that being a top seed would have going into those playoffs. But before we do that, we'll dive into those national numbers for 2026. First of all, we've got permanent numbers that are already set in stone. If you're able to land yourself in the top 10 and combine points for Supercross and Motocross on any given year out of both the 250 and the 450 classes combined, or win a championship, you're able to select any permanent number that's currently open and have that as long as you're still racing and scoring enough points. But of course, we got Captain Fingergun, Cooper Webb with the 2, Beast Mode with the 3, Tucker Sexton 4, the Cowboy 7, Kyle Chisholm will probably still have number 11 in 2050, Johnny Sins number 12, Dylan Fernandez 14, Versace Savage at 17, the Alien at 18, El Hombre's Fried with a 21, RJ gonna RJ at 24, Mookie Fever at 27, will the real Christian Craig please stand up at 28, Sushi at 30, Tyson Chickens Justin Cooper at 32, the Danger Zone at 38, Colt 45 and no zigzags. Justin Hill shadowboxed his way to a 46. The Chef cooked up a 47. Barsha keeps the 51 revving. Kickstart Kenny at 94 and Hanta at 96. And like I said, these are pretty much all the numbers that these guys are going to have until retirement, but that still leaves a lot of really good numbers up for grabs. And before we get into the actual numbers, we'll get into how exactly that is calculated. And it's actually pretty dang easy. Even a college dropout could do it. All you got to do is add up the points from Supercross, the points from Motocross, and regardless of what class you raced, even if you raced both classes, tally up the points total from Supercross and Motocross, and then those are your rankings. But it's not just straight up like this, because you got to factor in the permanent numbers, and a lot of these people on this list already have a permanent number. So the highest available numbers that are not held by somebody with a permanent number go to those that scored the most points who do not yet have a permanent number. And I know it's not the most straightforward system, so just to give you guys a quick example, Garrett Marchbanks is 11th on the list, but all 10 riders ahead of him have permanent numbers already, and the lowest available number that's not taken by anyone with a permanent number is the number 10, so as of now, Garrett Marchbanks, even being 11th overall, would be in line for number 10. But then, after the number 10, every number up until number 19 is already taken by people with career numbers, so 2 Jules Beaumaire, even though he's only 2 spots behind Garrett Marchbanks, his projected number would be all the way down at 19 compared to Garrett Marchbanks' number 10. And in order to get one of those career numbers themselves, both Marchbanks and 2 Jews, and even Seth Hamaker, who's also right there, would need to vault themselves up into the top 10 and combine points for the season. But right now, I kind of think it's looking like a tall order for any of these guys to get a new career number this year. For starters, none of them are in the top 10 as of now, and Eli Tomac is back in 12th on his way forward. Now, this all could depend on injuries from guys in front of them late in the season, but one guy that they maybe could catch straight up on points is Malcolm Stewart. Marchbanks has been gaining points on him by the handful every weekend, and 2 Jews is kind of on a downward trend, and Hamaker is now back from injury. So if it had to be any of these guys that could snag a career number, I would think it would be Garrett Marchbanks, but he still might need some help to do it. Now, on to the fun stuff. No more explaining the actual projected 2026 national numbers so far. And full disclosure, I have not yet educated myself on all the tiebreakers and all that kind of stuff to do with these national numbers, but all these numbers should definitely be within at least 1 or 2, maybe 3 at the most. And remember, we got a lot of racing left, so take these numbers with a grain of pepper. But some notable numbers so far are Garrett Marchbanks at 10, 2 Jews at 19, Seth Hamaker taking over the Brock Tickle 20, and on Pro Circuit, that's a championship combo, Chance Hyman at 22, Michael Moseman at 23, the Club MX Yamaha squad's got 25 and 26 with Schock and Voland, Triumph has number 29 and Jordan Smith. And then Star Racing's got Thrasher at 31, Davies at 33, and then Oldenburg on the Beta is number 34. Jorge Prado currently sitting at number 35, but he's moving forward. And is he even going to use whatever national number he gets to race here next year? There are already some rumblings of him shopping around and seeing how things are going back with teams in the GPs. And I totally glossed over it when I talked about Tim Vial at the number 16. Apparently he might be headed back across the pond with Honda HRC for the MXGP class next year. But into the mid-30s, Cullen Park after a really good Supercross season, Benny Bloss at 37, Faulkner is soldiering through at 39, and Ty Masterpool is puking at number 40. Then into the 40s, you got Mikel Harop, Parker Ross as a rookie putting in a great year, and then Mitchell Harrison, Drew Adams, a few permanent numbers. Ryder D will be number 48 when it's time. How about Lux Turner at number 49, and then poor Casey Cochran just dislocated the shoulder, but we're at number 50. And I'm not trying to read all 99 names to you guys. People are already complaining about my monotone nationals, so I'll try to hurry this up. But some numbers that stick out to me are Benoit Paturel and Valentin Guillot at 54 and 55, Max Anstey all the way down at 56, along with Dax Bennick at 58, and these guys that are out with injury are going to continue to head down the order. Poor Fast Freddy, he was number 22 last year, 33 this year, but 2025 has been rough, and he's all the way down at 60 with Hari Kulas at 61. Got to give some big shout-outs to Trevor Collop at 67 and Jerry Robin at 78. Been praying for both of these boys big time with both situations that they've been given, and I really encourage all of you guys to do the same. Rookie Avery Long is at number 68 and climbing. Jack Chambers currently has the coveted 69 nailed down. Jalik Swoll on the comeback at 73. HVAC Justin Rodbell at number 80. Dude's probably up in the attic changing out AC units, telling everybody he's got a 2-digit number, and they're like, yeah bro, it's 5 a.m., we don't care. Devin Simonson at number 83, and then some of these guys in the 90s, especially the ones that aren't racing outdoors, are in jeopardy, like Tristan Lane, Justin Starling, Cameron McAdoo, and Anthony Rodriguez. But like I said, still quite a few gate drops and still quite a bit of racing left. But within a few numbers, this is what we're looking like so far. Now, let's dive into the point standings for the SMX Playoff Championship at the end of the season. And the big incentive here is cash money, because the seed that you go in with to the playoffs, you start with that amount of corresponding points to whatever position you're in. First place starts with 25, second with 22, third with 20, and so on, according to the point structure. But those positions really matter at the top, especially in the 250 class, a $250,000 difference just between first and second. And in the 450 class, obviously it's a big payout, $1 million to win, $500,000 for second, and so on. So we'll check in and see who looks like they could potentially be the number 1 seed heading into the playoffs in both classes, but we're also going to dive into who actually is in line for the top 22 transfer spots, because especially in this 450 class, just making the top 22 is quite financially rewarding in the points fund, especially for these privateers who are grinding it out weekend after weekend on a shoestring budget, chasing that carrot at the end of the season. But starting with the 250 class, Deegs is in control, it's his world, and all these guys are just trying to live in it. He has over a 100-point gap over Sushi, Joe Shimoda in the 2 spot. Tom Vial is right there, only 4 points behind Shimoda, and then another decent-sized gap back to Garrett Marchbanks in the 4 spot. 2 Jews Beaumare, he did have a stranglehold on second for a while, but he's fading back in the 5 spot. Seth Hamaker 6, Chance Hyman 7, but he's out for the year, so he will definitely drop some spots, and even if he's in the top 22, I don't think we'll see him in the playoffs. Michael Mosiman having a quietly good year in 8th, Maximus Voland handbrake into a 9th, Jordan Smith somehow still in the top 10 with his airbag deflated. And then just on the outside of the top 10, it's Levi Kitchen, Nate Thrasher, RJ Hampshire, who's also on his way back because he's now racing the 450, Cole Davies, another one who's injured and headed backwards, Cody Schock, also on the 450, Cullen Park, not racing outdoors, Austin Faulkner in 17th, and he's making some moves forward, along with Ty Masterpool in 18th. Mikkel Harup is gaining a lot of ground back in 19th and is headed forward by the weekend, and then only the top 20 get direct transfers in the playoffs, and with that coveted P20 is the rookie Parker Ross. But there are some guys that are still digging every weekend and are trying to make some moves forward, like Drew Adams, Ryder D, Lux Turner, Dylan Schwartz, and Avery Long. And right now, it's looking like Cullen Park and Cody Schock are in the most danger of being caught by all those people I just mentioned. The next couple of guys that they could catch would be RJ Hampshire and Cole Davies, but there's still a lot of ground to be made up, and I think those guys might just barely be out of reach. Now, to finish this out with an overview of the 450 standings, Cooper Webb still leads them at 495, but Justin Cooper and Aaron Plessinger have both been on a fantastic run this outdoor season and have both been gaining a lot of ground on Webb. When Sexton went out, I feel like most of us thought that Cooper Webb was kind of being gifted the number 1 seed, but J. Coop and AP have been absolutely digging, making up points by the handful every weekend, and at this rate, J. Coop would catch Cooper Webb with a few rounds to go for the number 1 seed for the playoffs. And AP's right there in third, he's not out of reach either. Then in the 4 spot is Chase Sexton, who will be returning to action this weekend at Redbud. Malcolm Stewart rounds out the top 5, and he's been on a little bit of a downward trend in outdoors, but he's still looking at a good spot. Then 6 through 10 is Jet Lawrence, Eli Tomac, Ken Roxon, Joey Savacci, and Hunter Lawrence. And some of those guys will probably end up getting around Malcolm Stewart in the standings, but unless Chase Sexton comes back and encounters even more problems, I think that's as high as any of these guys are going to get. Speaking of getting high, Team Fried, P11, and then Justin Barsha, Dylan Ferrandis, Justin Hill, and Shane McElrath. And then as of now, the final spots 16 through 20 are Colt Nichols, RJ Hampshire, Mitch Oldenburg, Jorge Prado, and Benny Bloss. But a few of those guys are in danger of losing out on a direct transfer. Benny Bloss and Mitch Oldenburg are not racing any more outdoors as far as I know, and they are only 30 points ahead of Mitchell Harrison, who is grinding out top 15 and top 20 results every weekend in pro motocross. So based on the current trends, I think Mitchell Harrison gets in, and also Cody Schock in the 22 spot is also easily on track to get himself in there. And then the Euro Invasion in 23 and 24, neither of them can be counted out with Benoit Paturel and Valentin Guillot. Grant Harlan is always grinding out good results in the summer, but other than that, I really don't see anybody with any potential to make their way into that top 20. But that battle for the direct transfer spots in this 450 class is definitely going to be something that you're going to want to stay tuned to, because there's about 5 or 6 guys vying for maybe 2 or 3 possible spots. But that's all I got for today's video for the national numbers and SMX point standings update. Please let me know in the comments if I did at least a decent job of explaining this, or if I made it way too complicated and sucked at it. Your criticism never hurts my feelings. You guys know I'm here for it, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.